Almost all answers of mastery or success is just to slow down, to break things down into components, slow down as much as possible, simplify as many elements as you possibly can. And it's really hard to explain this to people that almost all components, or almost all things that you're going to want to do, it's all this sort of basic thing where you just slow down, you simplify, you have patience. All of these things are sort of basically the same construct where you have to tell yourself in your mind, I'm okay and I'm going to do just fine if I take one step at a time. And I don't need to rush anything. That's like such a hard lesson to learn. And I know, like I'm an engineer, right? Like I'm very expedient with things. I know, just ship it. But often the trade-off that you're going to feel is you're going to want to do things quickly because you want to demonstrate success and mastery and all that kind of stuff. And it doesn't matter the area, right? Whether it's personal finance, whether it is looking good at the beach, whether it is speaking well. It's ultimately it's like a slow, steady, boring process of incrementally doing things over and over and over again. And then if you are coached by somebody, which is, likely most of us will not be coached by somebody, then you have to slow down. If you are being coached by somebody, that's almost always, if you talk to them, it's like this methodical thing where you're just breaking down things one little step at a time. Like imagine, I don't know how many of you that are listening to this has taken music lessons. You pick your thing, it's just music lessons, right? Um, I did music lessons when I was a kid. I did a couple of years of piano, and it was always the same thing. It was like, let's work on this one little tiny spot in the music, in what you're trying to play, and let's break it down and repeat this thing over and over and over and over and over and over again until it becomes fluid. And it's essentially always that, no matter what domain that you're going to go into. And now here's the issue, here's the rub. Doing that is hard, right? And I don't know why it is hard. I mean, you would think like from a mechanical point of view, from a machine part, easy. But in our minds, how we sort of conceptualize things, for almost everybody, that is super hard, right? To get your butt to the seat, whatever that sort of, imaginary seat that you have, and just do things slowly, methodically, over and over and over and over and over and over again. Now, there is a limit that we're all going to eventually reach, right? And whatever that limit is, you pick the area. There is some sort of limit, and then it becomes your responsibility, your duty to know how to just keep that going, regardless of what's actually going on. And now, I am a big believer. I strongly believe in the power of a coach or a mentor, or a teacher, right? Like the same thing as a piano teacher, where somebody is going to walk you. Strongly believe in the power of that. Except for the problem is that that is one little tiny area of life, right? Like piano is a tiny, tiny area of life. We don't have those tiny areas in all of our aspects of life, right? Like that would be nice. But we don't. We have our lives are a mess. There's a whole bunch of complexity with many activities that are interacting with each other, many different routines. It's busy. We all live busy lives, right? And so it's your job to stop, think about this, and as you're wrestling with it, you're like, man, I just need to slow this down. I know I need to do all of these kind of things, so I just need to slow it down, do one step at a time, and methodically step through things to the best of my ability. Now, that's the caveat, right? To the best of my ability. Um,
Something got cut off. I don't know. I think I accidentally hit a button. Um, but my point is that if you want to get mastery, um, and you want to do well in any area of your life, just slow down. Um, you're gonna want to race through things. You're gonna want to, and I know I understand all those pressures, well aware of all those things, but just slow down a little bit and try to get that mastery in key areas because that slowing down actually pays off um, in the long run. And I know that there's like extents of how much you slow down. Um, there not that it's kind of like a sort of a slippery slope. You don't really know how much you should slow down. This number clear, but slowing down, taking those steps forward, where you are thinking more methodically, almost always helps you in that particular domain. And it's helped me, right? Like this is why I'm saying it's just kind of slowing down. It's this, it's more of focusing on the sort of rational decision making thing of things, where you're slowing down. It's not always rational, but it's slowing down, taking those steps forwards, realizing that things take a long time, and not panicking, having patience, and knowing that you could do this, right? Like I love so I swim, and I love it because it's a great analogy often. And part of swimming is learning how to slow yourself down and trusting that you will not drown in the water. Another way that I like to think about swimming is controlled drowning. And once you figure this out, that is very much about controlled drowning. And there's a lot of moments repeatedly when you're swimming, if you're doing laps, for example, repeatedly where you feel like you're going to drown and you're going to want to panic. And your natural reaction, and every time I go swimming, I go through this. My natural reaction is to panic and try to get as much air in as possible. But the best answer always is to slow that panic feeling down and just take your time and know that nothing is going to happen to you if you just take your time methodically and slowly and not panic through those feelings, or just try to work on your inner control where you're going to want to panic, and that natural instinct of I want to get out of here as quick as possible kicks in, and just go into that patient mode where you're just slowing everything down. And if you could practice that in all domains of your life, you pick it, whether it's love, life, relationships, money, um, buying a car, whatever major thing that you're doing, major decision that you're doing, slow down, get through that panicky thing where you're like, I don't know what to do. Slow down and say, let's do this methodically, and let's start thinking of original solutions. And ultimately, you're going to be okay, right? Like coming back to the feeling of when you want to panic, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to walk myself through this, almost inevitably turns into something that is really good and beneficial for yourself, no matter what life journeys you're going through at this time. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.